Pause and practice activity Excel 2-3. We're going to begin this activity by doing some text functions. So we're going to start here on the rental days worksheet. I'm going to go and click on cell G5 under names and locations. Go to the formula tab and we'll click the text button. And we're going to go to text join. And what this is going to do is it's going to connect a couple of pieces of text together for us. So the delimiter, we want to choose a value, in this case a comma. And I actually need to have a space after this comma as well. Notice it put quotation marks as it does when we put text into a formula. So what this is going to do is it's going to use a comma and a space between the values that we put into this. So for text 1, we'll go ahead, click there, and we want A5. And then for text box 2, we want C5. And we'll go ahead and we'll press the Enter key, or excuse me, the OK button. And you'll notice it puts this value, the comma and space, and then this value. Let's go ahead and copy this down to all of the cells. We can see that the column is too narrow, so we can just go between the two columns, G and H, and double click, and that will auto fit our information. Let's click on I5. We'll go back up to the text button, and we're going to click on concat. Concatenate is another term for joining. In this case, it doesn't place delimiters, or doesn't have the option for delimiters. So what we'll do here for text 1, we'll do B5. And for text 2, we'll actually put a comma and space, so we're creating our own delimiter. And here we'll do D5. And we'll push the OK button. So you notice that we've done basically the same thing here as we did here with a slightly different function. We'll copy this value down to the, oops, don't want to move it. Copy this down to the other cells. Let's auto fit that again. Now we're going to go to cell H4 under the guest data sheet. There we go. We're going to go to do a math function. So click here, go to the sum if option. So this is similar to our if function, but this will do a sum of values if certain criteria is met. So we'll click here in range. We're going to choose B4 through B38. Go down there. We want this range to be absolute, so we'll press the F4 button. Let's go to the criteria box, and we're going to type G. Press enter. You notice it puts the quotes around for us. In the sum range, we want C4 through C38. Once again, we want this absolute, so I'll press the F4 button. I'll click OK. And you'll notice here it looks at the values that are G and adds those here. So if I were to change one of these, let's say to an S, it'll change the value here. Let me put that back to G. Let's go ahead and we'll copy this down to this cell, and then we'll come up here to where it says G, and I'll change that to an S. And adds that for us as well. We're now going to move back to the startup sheet. We're going to use a sum product function. This will be under the math and trig button. So let's move down here, find the sum product. Sum product's a fairly powerful function. In this case, what it's going to do is it's going to take a value in one column and one row. It'll take this value in this case, multiply it by this value. It'll then add to that this value multiplied by this value. So what I'll do here is I'll choose the array that I want, which is C. Go down to array 2, choose it. Now they do have to be the same size arrays. You notice here it has all the values. It's already calculated this to our value here. Go ahead and press OK for our value. Actually, I realized I made an error. It shouldn't have been C times E. It should have been C times D. So what I'll do is I'll just make a slight change here. I'll actually click on the cell, come up to our formula bar, change those column references there, and press enter. Now we're going to do the same thing here as we did here. Now I could drag this down like this, and you'll notice the values changed a bit, and that's because it's actually changed the references to this. We undo this, and I could make a change to this so it will do this appropriately. I could click in this first range here. Let's go ahead and do a F4. You notice it changed the one that I had selected. I'll do this for each of these, so I've made this an absolute selection. Actually, I undid that, so let me do it again. Need to just press the enter key here to accept it. I'll then do cost at best level. It's the same value, but here I can actually change this to the proper row here, press enter, and then we'll get the appropriate value. We're going to go ahead and use one last function here, and this is going to be the round function. So this is going to round a value for us. We'll go ahead and click on the round value at required. Go to the math and trig button again, and we'll find the round option. Notice there's round, round down, and round up. So we want to do round in this case. So this is going to round to a specific number of digits. So the number we want to choose here is C16, the required level. And we're going to go type 0. We want no digits on this. We'll say OK. You notice it's 364 because it rounded it to the closest ones digit. In this case, it would be 4. We'll do the same thing for here, except I'm actually going to type in the formula equals round a, choose the value, close up the percentage. Actually, I did it incorrectly. The value I wanted was here. Press enter. Oh, what did I do wrong? You notice I didn't look at this appropriately. It's round the number, a comma, and however many digits we want. So I'll change this. I'm actually going to make this 1 just to make this a little different. You notice here it rounded it to the tens place, excuse me, the 1/10th place, and that increased this to a 9. If I were to change the formula again to a 0, and I'm sure you can guess this, it'll round it up to 695. Okay, this ends this activity.